What if Jesus' tiniest parable hides a 600-year-old prophecy? See, Ezekiel saw God plant a tree that would shelter the nations. Jesus spoke of a mustard seed that becomes a tree where birds rest. Same picture, same promise. Fulfilled? See, in Matthew 5, Jesus says he has not come to abolish the law or the prophets, but to fulfill them. And that means the prophetic storylines of Israel, promise, exile, and hope, come to a completion in him. Today, we'll track just one of those threads from Ezekiel chapter 17 to the mustard seed in Matthew 13. Ezekiel 17 begins with a riddle: two great eagles, a cedar's topmost shoot taken away, and a vine that bends towards another's power. It's about Judah's kings playing politics, breaking covenant, trusting Egypt, and facing Babylon's judgment. But the parable doesn't end with failure. See, God himself speaks hope. Ezekiel 17:22 and 23. This is what the Lord God says: I will take a shoot from the lofty top of the cedar, and I will set it out. I will pluck a tender sprig from its topmost shoots, and I will plant it on a high and lofty mountain. I will plant it on the mountain heights of Israel, so that it will bear branches, it will yield fruit, and become a majestic cedar. Birds of every kind will nest under it, taking shelter in the shade of its branches. Now, this is restoration language, isn't it? See, God will personally plant a new beginning from David's royal line. And the result? A great sheltering tree for birds of every kind. A picture of nations coming under the rule and blessing of God's chosen king. Ezekiel 17:22 and 23. God plants, the tree grows, birds nest. Messianic hope, a new Davidic planting. Now, centuries later, Jesus tells a brief parable, Matthew 13:31 and 32. We read, He put before them another parable. The kingdom of the heavens is like a mustard seed that a man took and planted in his field. Although it is the smallest of all seeds, yet it grows into the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. You notice? Same structure, same destination. Tiny start, great tree, birds nesting. Jesus is actually invoking Israel's prophetic imagination. But notice the twist. It is not a majestic cedar, it is a humble mustard plant. The kingdom arrives small, ordinary, almost dismissible, yet it becomes a sheltering tree. Matthew 13:31 and 32, small seed, tree to bird's nest. So let's map the language. Ezekiel 17:22 to 24 and Matthew 13:31 to 32. Ezekiel, I myself will take a sprig and plant it. Matthew, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed a man sowed. Ezekiel, it will bear branches, produce fruit, and become a noble cedar. Matthew, though smallest, it grows and becomes a tree. Ezekiel, under it will dwell every kind of bird. In its shade, birds nest. Matthew, The birds of the air come and nest in its branches. Divine initiative, God plants. Kingdom initiative, God's reign planted in the world. Universal shelter, nations under Messiah. Universal inclusion, peoples gather under the kingdom. See, Jesus is actually echoing Ezekiel's promise. He's saying the kingdom God promised to plant, well, it's here, beginning in me. The scale is different, mustard, not cedar, because God's power is revealed through humility. But the outcome is the same, a global refuge under God's anointed king. So why choose mustard instead of a cedar? Because Jesus reframes expectation about the Messiah and his kingdom. You see, Israel expected visible grandeur. Jesus brings cruciform glory, strength through weakness, victory through self-giving love. The mustard seed says, do not despise small beginnings. Remember Zechariah 4 and verse 10? For who has despised the day of small things? But these 7 eyes of the Lord, which scan the whole earth, will rejoice when they see the plumb line in the hand of Zerubbabel. See, the king arrives in humility, yet the kingdom's reach becomes universal. Do not despise small beginnings. See, this is Matthew chapter 5 and verses 17 through to 20, the Sermon on the Mount in action. See, Jesus fulfills the prophets not by quoting lines, but by embodying their promised future. God said, I will plant. Jesus proclaims the kingdom is like a seed. Ezekiel promised a tree for every bird. Jesus welcomes all the nations to nest in his branches. And this fulfillment is practical. See, kingdom life looks like the Sermon on the Mount. Truthful speech, peacemaking, enemy love, hidden generosity. See, when we live this way, the seed keeps growing. The world finds shade. Ezekiel's cedar or Jesus mustard, one promise fulfilled, but in a surprising way. See, God plants small, he grows great. So take heart, plant kingdom seeds, words of truth, acts of mercy, prayers of faith. The birds will come, the nations will find shade. Now, this is just one strand of prophetic fulfillment of Jesus' words in his Sermon on the Mount. No doubt we will be highlighting more in future videos. A question to pose now, however, is this. How did his apostles, the ones he selected to take forward his teachings, to not only apply to their own lives, but to teaching others how to benefit from the same? See, the Bible canon we have today developed over a long period of time, and of course in different ways, in different regions of the world. The result? Different listings of books and letters, depending on which religion or bundle you belong to, or what you were born into. Now, there is one book, however, that we don't see listed in the canon. It was highly used, copied, and distributed in the 1st and 2nd centuries by the disciples of Jesus. Many of us have probably never heard of it. It is an early Christian document, and it is to be found here. There is the website earlychristianwritings.org. It is known as the Dedicae, the teachings of the apostles. On Thursday, we will begin an examination of this document. And why? Because it is in the field Jesus spoke of in Matthew 30:38. So, until then, thank you and see you next time.